Okay, this is the reset. The man to my left, you're right, Mr. Ernest Crim, and my brother. This brother and I linked up, man, years ago. I think we first started communicating when I was at Job Corps. Email. I ain't know nothing about this brother. I just remember seeing his picture with a bullhorn. That's all I can remember. You know, when you've been in relationships, when you first get introduced to somebody, you don't necessarily know how it's going to go. But for whatever reason, throughout the years, when I made my transition into the high school industry, man, we linked up. And ever since then, we've been like this. So we've both been on different journeys in our lives. But we're on our way to one of his locations for him to facilitate an experience with these young people. I want to introduce my brother, my first guest, honorable guest on the reset.
Yeah, I'm honored. What's up, y'all? It's Mr. Ernest Crim III, your favorite Black history teacher. I like to fashion myself now, this month, this year, 2022. I'm calling myself Black History Application Specialist. I'm helping people use Black history to empower themselves, educate themselves, and most importantly, create a better future for themselves and their community. Got 2 books. I'm an author. Black History Saved My Life, and my most recent book is a children's book, The ABCs of Affirming Black Children. So I'm all about empowering us with our stories that are often overlooked.
So, Crim, the question as we was talking, I wanted to really pick your brain, is, I got 2 questions, but my first question is, when can you recall you having your first reset, your mindset reset? When can you recall, you know, what was the earliest age that you can say, you know what, that was a reset for me?
You know what, man, that's a good question. Maybe my first reset, that I didn't realize it was a reset, was when I was in high school. I started high school in 2001. Excuse me. I started high school in 2001, and my stepfather was a computer whiz, rest in peace. And this man knew how to build computers from scratch. And that's the type of work he did, fixing computers and technical stuff like that. So we were one of the first ones in my neighborhood and in the school that I went to. We had the broadband high-speed internet, and we also had a CD burner, which a lot of people might not even know what that is, but this is before the streaming era. So like, if you had a CD burner, you could create your own copies of CDs, you know? So my reset, I guess, then came when it occurred to me that I could, and I'm sorry to all the artists out there, but I could sell CDs and make some extra money. So it could be, I have a CD that you like, I upload it on my computer. You don't want to pay whatever it is. Back then, I'm thinking it could have been $15, $20. I could sell it to you for $5. And I bought a whole pack of CDs, maybe 30 for $5. So you do the math. I bought that whole pack for $30. That's $5 maybe, $5, $10. If I sell 5 a piece, that's $150. So I saw then that, and I don't think I realized it, but you know, there's a way in which you can provide for yourself without having to do a traditional job. But yet and still, you know, by the time I was a junior and I started working my first job, I didn't think it was a career move I could have in which I would work for myself. And I'm not talking about selling bootleg CDs as a career, but like I'm saying, just like having a product that I could provide for people. But that came back to me, you know, of course, later in life with the work that I do now.
What age were you?
And I was 14. And by the time I started driving, man, that became, because my mom was like, look, okay, we got the car. You got to pay for everything else. So it was like gas, anything. So it became a thing of, well, I just want to sell these CDs so I can have some gas money, and I keep all the money I make from my job 100% to me. And then even before then, too, like my parents would help me, you know, create flyers to do like, you know, shovel snow in the neighborhood, cut grass. But I was still somewhat ingrained in the mindset that I had to have a traditional 9-to-5 career. I don't think that probably shifted though until I was teaching and I began to watch, speakers online, motivational speakers, and see different ways people were able to make an income, because I thought you had to have a 9-to-5 working for 30, 35 years, but that shifted through exposure.
So transitioning to your college aspect of your life, and I know you've told me stories about your journey there, and you mentioned there was, I'll never forget, about you having that one teacher, that one instructor that, from my understanding, shifted your direction in your life. Can you tell me a little bit more about that encounter?
Yeah, this brother's name was Abdul Al-Kamat. Remember him, being in his class, it feels like yesterday. He's an amazing professor and instructor. I can put it over.
Keep going, brother. We natural.
Okay.
Reset.
Yeah, so this brother name was Professor Dr. Abdul Al-Kamat. His class was the second Black History course that I took. The first one I loved too. But I wanted to take another one just to see, if I wanted to make this shift to focusing on history, with specifically Black history. And this man's class was just so engaging. Like, I could tell that he truly loved what he did. You could tell that this was his passion. When you walked into the class, you felt his presence. He had music playing. This was an older brother at the time. He may have been in his 60s, maybe 70s. You come in, you hear loud music. You're hearing everything from the old school, like Marvin Gaye, to like some more present day stuff, maybe some Dead Prez and Tupac and stuff. And and he was unapologetic about the stuff he spoke about. Like, and I was, as a fan of Malcolm X, I felt like I was experiencing a glimpse of what that could have been like to be in the crowd of a Malcolm X speech. And I just remember one day this brother said, he was like, race isn't real, it's a social construct. And he was like, we all come from Africa. And it seemed, and maybe to some people that's like common knowledge now, but it wasn't then. It's 2005-6. Like, we didn't have these conversations in class. You didn't learn this in school. If you think about it deeply, you can come to the conclusion that race isn't real, but you don't think of it that way. So when he said that, he said, we all come from Africa, I just remember my mind being blown. I remember seeing the picture on the screen, and I like remember, and that class was huge. I reached out to him. We went out to have some coffee, great conversation, and that was the moment I knew I wanted to be an educator. And I say educator because it wasn't that I said I want to be a high school teacher. I just wanted to educate people and have the same impact on them that he did on me. And I felt that it would be most impactful at that period in my life if I was able to go to the high school area, high school, high school students, that age group, and talk to them, because I felt like that's when the shift could occur. I was like, if the kids and the dudes in my block that I grew up with knew this information, they wouldn't make the decisions they made, because they would have a sense of purpose, And then, lo and behold, I go home that Christmas break, and I talked to my mom about how much I love this dude's class, and she was telling me she had a professor like that too, and we had the same professor, So that's just something, that type of...
You had the same professor as your mom?
We had the same professor, bro. When she had him in the 70s, his name was Gerald McWhorter, and she went to UIC. I went to U of I in Champaign. That was like one of the first times they started teaching Black history on a college level, and she had this dude. So like, and I'm my mom's, son, 100%. Like, we got very similar personalities in the type of work we do too. But it's just like the way God aligns things. It was like, okay, I got to go down this path, and I can say I made the right decision. Because if I ignored that so-called coincidence, I would be foolish.
Reset moment. So a reset moment is when our guest, colleague, make a statement and it need to be redefined, or a series of statements. Reset moment. Is there a difference between a teacher, high school teacher? No shade to high school teachers. I love y'all dearly. These are my friends and colleagues. but I want to get this reset to see if there is one. Is there a difference between a teacher in terms of high school, junior high, traditional schooling, and educator?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like high school, middle school, elementary, like those are just job titles, you know. I would always tell people, especially when I spoke to like educators, I would always tell them that being an educator is a calling. To me, it's you don't want your child with somebody. Hold on, I got my iPad. So I don't have my iPad hooked up. We 100% real over here.
100%.
I gotta get the thing hooked up. But no, because like an educator is, you want to help nourish and mold somebody's mind in the way yours was, to help them achieve a certain like goal or outcome. And to me, as an educator, you want them to reach a level of enlightenment, not to educate them to become, you know, the standard. You want to educate them to become their highest form of self. And I believe that that's something you have to be like, that's something God or whatever you believe in has a place in your heart. That's something that I feel like you have innately, and it just has to be molded. I don't think everybody should be doing that. Well, I mean, and I'm not saying it should be doing, I don't believe everybody should be a teacher, just like everybody shouldn't be a preacher. Everybody shouldn't be in front of our kids. You might be able to pass the test. A lot of people can pass the test. That don't mean that you can do the job. You know what I'm saying? So like, teaching is just a vehicle by which we inspire the future, the youth. And I'm very specific when I say that, because I have to stop people when they be like, "Oh, you retired? Oh, you quit?" Or "I didn't retire." Yeah. I'm still teaching. Right. I'm just not employed by the government to teach anymore. I don't teach in a public school. I teach my own course. I teach online. I teach on my own schedule during mentoring programs. I have my own schedule now, but I'm very much still an educator. Just not standard. We have to think about this too, bro. Like, what did education look like before? People ain't even been forced to go to school K through 12 for 100 years. So we got to make sure we understand that. That's a fairly new thing. We were educated, like Frederick Douglass was an educator, but he wasn't going to schools doing it like that. You know, he was all over the place.
Yeah. So then I think one of my last questions for you. So I got insight on you and your younger age and your college span. What reset did you have to go through from being an educator at a school for a decade, a little bit over a decade, where you had a true heart to help these kids and connect with your colleagues and staff? What reset, what was the process in your reset that you had to experience to get to the place where you are now, with the social media awareness that you got, with the different programs that you facilitated, with the courses that you created to enrich the lives of African American youth? What reset? How was your reset?
Yeah, so with that, and yeah, that's something I definitely have to unpack, because, you know, when I first started teaching, that was the dream I had, you know, priorly, before I attained that goal. That was the dream. Now I'm a teacher. You know, I got my own class. I'm in a larger district. I'm having this impact. I think I began to feel, though, that the things that I had to teach were formulaic, mundane, and weren't really for the purpose of helping our children create a better society. Because I come from the framework and background that, you know, this country, this world, like, you know, I think Muhammad Ali said it, like, service is the rent you pay to live here. We're far from perfect. There's some great things in this world, in this country, but things have to continue to get better. I didn't think that the curriculum, I didn't think that the purpose that they have for me there was to actually help do that. I feel like it was to keep things the same way they were. You know, it's like, don't move the thermostat, keep it here. and it had never occurred to me that I would be a public speaker or like record content, because even recording content, when I first started teaching in 2010, some people did it on YouTube, but that just wasn't the thing that I was considering. But I guess, man, I just follow, like, kind of follow your heart, and I hate to be cliche, But following where the divine leads you, there are certain things that you get led to do. And I'm talking like things that are constructive, you know, and you just can't stop following that path. Like, and I have to say, you know, coming across somebody like Eric Thomas, man, when I came across, I think may have been like 2013, 2012, something like that. A friend of mine from high school posted one of his videos on Instagram, and it wasn't even on, it was like a screenshot, and it just said, you know, this video is powerful. I was like, let me see. And I saw the video, and you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. And I said, ooh. And it touched me in a way in which, like, I felt like I saw the same way I felt with Professor Al-Kaman. It was like I saw someone who had the same level of passion that I do. And it's like, you don't see that a lot. So I was immediately drawn in. And of course, now I'm Googling him. He got a mixtape, and the mixtape is him speaking. And he had a mentoring program, and I was doing mentoring. And I said, for me, like being a black male educator, you're rare, and you don't have a lot of people to model. You know, everybody want to model themselves after Jordan or LeBron and Kobe because they everywhere. Basketball players everywhere. But black male educators, who do we model our style after? I didn't know. Sure. So when I saw him, and I would like, when I did my mentoring programs, I didn't know how to frame it. I would listen to his mixtape talking points before I went to my mentoring sessions at 7:30 in the morning. And I would get ideas for topics. Like, oh, okay, this, that. Like, man, this is some good stuff right here. And that's kind of just where it led me. Like, but again, never thinking that I would be a speaker. It was just, I have to make sure that, like, if that's the passion he's bringing, and he's speaking to some kids, I got to make sure I'm there too, because I feel the same way that he does, albeit different experiences. I felt it. And it did not connect though to me that I could like probably make a living with this until like I first got paid to speak, and that was following the hate crime that I experienced in 2016. So we talking like a 3-4 year turnaround. I may have come across his videos in 2013. I had my first paid gig. I didn't start speaking in 2016, 2017. I got paid first time then, and it was like, okay, maybe I can do this. And also too, I got to say, listening to him and hear him talk about what he was making made me feel like I'm just a person. If you can do it, I can too. And he's very clear on that. You know, like, you ain't no different than me. I can do this. Wait, shoot. I gotta get over. I think I always be confusing me.
We resetting.
Yeah, reset.
By changing our lanes, y'all.
Yeah, reset.
Sometimes in life, you gotta change lanes.
But yeah,
based on where you like.
Yeah, but again, like, but his story is like, I mean, he was a high school dropout. He didn't never have the best grades. His transparency on that makes you feel like, man, yeah. And again, I have to be clear too. When I say I felt like I could do that, it's because I felt like I was, I felt like I had a similar gift to him. Okay. It's not like I saw a soccer player I loved and I don't really care for soccer. Like, well, let me just try. Like, no. I feel like when we say you can do anything you put your mind to, we have to be very clear, let people know that that's when it's in alignment with your gift and your passion and your purpose.
Yes, sir.
Like,
reset. Reset moment. You cannot do everything you put your mind to unless it's in alignment with your purpose. It's gotta
be specific. Because I mean, I'm sure Jordan wanted to be like Sammy Sosa.
Yeah. Because we tell kids that all the time.
It's generic.
And I can understand why, because we don't want to box them in, but is it really a box? If I'm saying in alignment with your purpose.
Yeah. Like, if you're gonna be 6 feet, I'm not gonna be like, you could be just like Shaq. It's a different position. You're not here for that. You're not supposed to be a center. You know what I'm saying? So that was a bit, I mean, and again, hearing him, and I think for me, it's just like constantly surrounding myself with you, like knowing what you were able to do when you walked away from your job and to make a living. Like, to me, that, because before I made this jump, it was always in my mind, like, whenever I met somebody, it's like, I'm thinking, like, what do you do for a living? Like, how do you make, because I'm thinking, how do you make money? Because the way I make money, I just teach and they just pay me every 2 weeks. Like, you're doing something. So that always piqued my curiosity, because how can it be done? I want to see. So you got to surround yourself with those people. Of course, virtually, if you don't have any type of but in person, it's more impactful as well.
Yeah, and I remember when I shared with you, like, hey, I earn more income with this than I ever did with this in a less amount of time.
Yep.
And I wasn't sharing it, of course. I wasn't sharing it to brag.
Yep.
I think that it was coming from me as more incentive for you, like, man, this is possible.
Yeah.
I know, I see Eric Thomas
Yeah.
on the YouTube. I met him once because I know you met him before. But Cage and I are connected on a different level. I got somebody that's in my immediate circle that I can call that has done this.
Exactly. And that's important. That's like we have so many, and I got to give you a lot of props, man, because whether you know it or not, you was a big mentor for that, being able to see that. And but I think too, we have a lot of mentors in our life that we don't realize. I didn't realize, I never thought about the fact that one of my aunts, man, she owned property. She still does. Like, I mean, she was an eye doctor. Now she works for a large company, but for the majority of her adulthood, she had her own company, and she owned the property as an eye doctor in the majority white area. But it never occurred to me growing up. Like, we would go all the way to Evanston, you know what I'm saying, for my whole childhood to get our eyes checked out by her. And when I finally made that plunge and we had an in-depth conversation, I was like, you know what? You gave me that blueprint in a way. I didn't realize it. Like, because, I mean, she did very well for herself, but it's still, as an entrepreneur, you always have that chip on your shoulder. Like, I got to get up, I got to go out here, and I got to get it. And, you know, but that's somebody that I didn't know that I could reach out to. We all have somebody in our circle. It's like, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher, you know, will appear, is what we say. Or it's like when you're looking for a business, sometimes you'll look up a business only to find out that it was right around the corner from you. Like, how did I not drive past this every day? Because you weren't ready for it.
Yeah. And, you know, what my pastor shared a statement last Sunday, and he said that, and he was speaking more of the Christian experience. He said to us that we are educated past the level of our obedience. So, whoa, hold on, time out, brother, time out. And he was referring to the academic side of who we are, you know, as far as being followers of Christ, but also that's applicable to us in the practical sense of academics and schooling. And I give that because when you say reset moment, we say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is ready, what is the statement?
When a student is ready, the teacher will appear.
A student asks questions. So if I'm doing a reset, first episode of the reset, and I'm asking questions, I'm in the position of humility as a student. And then the teacher that's in you will manifest to give me the answers that I need to move my life forward. So that's something super simple.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, regardless of our background, where we come from, racially, gender, whatever, like, God has given us abundance already. Like, the stuff is there. It's just we have to awaken internally to the point where we're able to connect the dots and access it. You know, and when I say abundance, I don't necessarily mean money. You know, that's one of the things I've learned from this. It's far from just being about the money. I'm talking about living your purpose the way you're supposed to be. Those things will align, and you'll know when it's being done that way, because you'll feel it. And then the capital, the resources will come after it, really.
Yes, sir. So any other thoughts before we close out this first episode of the newly created Reset? What was anything that you would say that could help a person come to the awareness of, man, I need a reset?
I would say just listen. And when I say listen, don't just listen with your ears. Listen to what's being delivered to you, what's coming in your life. Listen for the things that really pique your curiosity, that you have an interest in, that you may keep pushing to the side. There's definitely a particular reason why you're drawn to that. And if you keep ignoring it, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back, because I just think, like, if I had not made the decision I made, there are a lot of opportunities I would have missed out on. But I truly believe that those opportunities would have kept nagging me and bothering me until I opened up myself to be able to receive them, you know. And sometimes you have to, sometimes we could be in the habit of keeping our, like, we'll keep our hands full. We'll always be holding something, but you can't really truly receive what you are supposed to receive until you let go of some things. You know, it's like going into the grocery store without a cart. Sometimes I try to do that, and you keep like, oh, I need that, I need that, I need that. But your hands full. You can't receive what you're supposed to receive. So listen and drop what's holding you down so you can receive what you're supposed to get.
Man, we about to do this work, y'all.
Yes, indeed.
I'm Crim's employee today. I'm contracting with Crim. So I'm going into this place and do what's necessary, you know, based on what we've been created. But I appreciate you, my brother, for being open and transparent to the idea of being the first guest of the reset. It was just a spur of the moment, spontaneous thing. But this is Mr. Cage, Mr. 1000 signing out on the reset. We'll catch you soon.